the magic. But
Well, hello, I'm here with Doug, and my top story is that Trump's revolution is failing, and it is Tuesday, October 7, 2025. We've got a lot of other stories too, of course, but I was very charmed to read this. Curtis Yarvin is the intellectual behind Trump's activities. He's the guy that believes democracy is useless and we should live in feudalism ruled by tech bros who are the master race. And each state will just have towns controlled by our local tech bros, and we'll have company towns, and we will all just be serfs controlled by the superior race. And he now says he may have to flee the U.S. because the Trump revolution has not been extreme enough. It has not dismantled democratic institutions and eliminated the Democratic Party fast enough, and he's afraid the Democrats will win in 28 and take revenge against him and all the others. And that sounds wonderful to me. I certainly hope all of that exactly happens. Um, and I think, by the way, I think he is correct. I mean, Trump has been incredibly extreme and done a lot of terrible things, but he's done them so stupidly and badly that he has alienated everybody, including a lot of his own base. So I think he's destroyed the Republican Party and destroyed his progress towards ending our democracy. And I think there'll be a huge revolt back to the Democrats in 26 and 28. So I was cheered by that. And I won't miss Yarvin when he's gone.
interesting, Sam. Let's see, he got a BA from Brown, and
He's
he
about as
also,
qualified to run a political party as RFK Jr. is to run the health department. But he fits in with the other so-called intellectuals driving the Trump revolution.
yeah, but he attended Brown, got a BA,
Yeah.
and also UC Berkeley. And I don't, maybe he started at UC and graduated Brown. I don't know.
Yeah, he's tech bro, and yet he thinks he's
Tech Bro.
qualified to organize politics and sociology. It reminds me of the guys that made Soylent. Um, you know Soylent?
Is that Soylent Greens?
There's a product, real product called Soylent.
Called Soylent. Yeah, I've heard of
Named
that.
after it. And it's this chalky junk you make a milkshake out of, and people try to live on it, claiming it's superior. And I read a good review by a woman who actually used something. She said, "This is about what you'd expect from a bunch of tech bros who know nothing about cooking, food, or nutrition. They're just like programmers. And they decided, oh, I can figure out what the ideal food is, and they made this horrible slop." Anyway, um, so that's what our politics is now being ruled by people with that level of thinking. And so I got uh, some other politics ones about what Trump is doing. Like,
Well, wait, let's
yeah,
talk Soylent
yeah,
Greens. That was a movie
right.
in the 1970s,
Yeah,
around
Charlton
the time
Heston.
of, with what?
Charlton Heston, originally called Make Room, where the earth is so overpopulated that there's just people everywhere, and the what they feed you is like the other people that have died. They grind them up and make them into like sort of meatloaf, and that's Soylent Green.
Yeah. And
Thursday's dinner.
so, yeah, so that was in the 1970s.
Yeah,
And what are we, 50 years later? And
yeah,
somebody has actually made a product that they're
yeah,
selling
yeah.
called Soylent Greens.
No, just Soylent. They didn't put the
Oh,
green in.
just Soylent.
Maybe it probably would have been a copyright violation
Ah,
if they
I
put the
see.
green
I
in.
see.
But it is
I
their
see.
scientifically optimized food.
Yeah, right,
And
right.
there's a hilarious blog of a woman that tried eating it, and it upsets your stomach. It tastes horrible. It's you know it's nasty.
Well, Sam, I've got a like story for you, sort of.
Yeah.
In Prague, there's a blogger who's called the Honest Prague, Honest Man, something like that.
Hmm.
And he goes around and he shows all the scams that's going on in Prague against tourists. And it could be currency conversion. So when you go to the ATM, somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, I'll give you more. I'll give you a better rate than the ATM will."
Yeah.
And so people will do it, and it turns out that they exchange because you have to use check money. You can't use EU; it's not accepted there. They're still using their own money. So they either use they use expired or retired money that's worthless when they do the exchange.
Yeah.
So he went up with uh, with Ukrainian dollars and bought a bunch of. He scammed the scammer with
Oh,
Ukrainian dollars.
yeah,
But
that's
the one
risky.
I'm getting at is since we're talking about food,
Yeah.
is I'm not sure, but I guess marijuana and other drugs have been recently legalized in Hungary and Prague,
Yeah.
or in Czech rather. Sorry, in the Czech Republic, and these, you know, cannabis stores have opened up, and they sell a variety of things. I don't know if they sell anything you can smoke, but a lot of it is food. And so they're cookies, and the people in the store don't really know what they're selling. I mean, they have a vague idea,
Yeah.
but they've never tested it. And so they tell people, yeah, it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
So a lot of foreigners are buying cookies. It's advertised what they are in English, that these have, active source, will make you feel good. That's all in English.
Yeah.
So people take one and they eat it and they say, huh, nothing happened. It's supposed to be very potent. So then they eat two, they eat three, they eat four, and still nothing happens. And
Oh,
the cookies, I guess, are kind of okay. So they finish them, they polish off the box.
oh man.
And then an hour later, they're sweating, they have rapid heartbeat, they feel miserable, they feel really, really bad.
Yeah.
They feel bad enough that they call an ambulance to go to the hospital. And the paramedics that come out and say, this is terrible that people are being sold this. And so the honest Czech goes into the store, buys a box. He shows you what it says in English, but on the back of the box, you turn it over, and in Czech, it says, not in English, but only in Czech, it says, this product is for demonstration purposes only, not meant for human consumption.
Right. And
So,
what was it? Pesticide or something?
no, he didn't test it, but
Yeah.
a lot of tourists,
Yeah.
they don't read Czech, and nobody's going to pull out your
Yeah.
iPhone or Google Translate to
Yeah.
see that it's really, a, 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 they
Yeah.
call it a demonstration product,
Yeah.
not for consumption.
Yep. Yep.
Anyway, it makes people very ill, and it takes a day or two or whatever to get over it. So obviously, it's not what they claim.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, yeah. So he's trying to publicize this, but
Yeah. Well,
just goes to show you scamming goes on everywhere.
well, sure. And, buying some random drug that's supposed to get you high without even knowing what the hell it is or what the dosage is, this is pretty amazingly unwise.
In a foreign country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, so,
All
so,
right, let's
yeah.
continue on
Yeah,
here.
yeah. So I found a nice video. Trump is now trying to send troops into Portland, saying the city's being burned down and everything because he watches Fox News and they just replay videos from 5 years ago at the George Floyd protests, and Trump thinks that's current, or at least he pretends to think it's current. And anyway, so a guy went and made a nice video of him like walking downtown and going up like a sort of scenic lift to the top of a mountain and taking pictures of Portland everywhere and showing there's no chaos, there's nothing on fire. Finally goes to the ICE detention center and there's like a little booth with some protesters there doing nothing bad. And he has a great music that plays over it. So anyway, I thought that was a nice video. And I saw another one on YouTube from David Pakman, which I thought was very good. And he said, this one's going to get me in trouble and people will refuse to come on my show, but I've had it. And I also listened to other interviewers. I saw Molly Johnfast did the same thing about 2 months ago, a famous left-wing blog podcaster. She interviewed a Democrat, and the Democrat tried repeating boring old talking points. And Molly Johnfast said, no, don't just repeat your boring talking points. Talk to me like a real person. And the Democrat could not understand this and couldn't stop doing it. And he said that's what happens. He interviews people, politicians, and he asks them a question. They ignore the question and just repeat a poll-tested talking point. And then he says he can't get them to stop doing that. And he said, this is why they're going to lose. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, Democrats are even less popular than Republicans now. I think they will still win in 26 and 28 because nobody will be voting for the Democrats. They'll be voting against the Republicans. But the fact is, this reminds me of a story that really caught my attention years ago. That AOC went to her office and met a guy that was writing on her pad on her door, I support Trump and I support you. And she said, let's talk about this. And he said just the same thing. He said, you people talk to me like real people. You're not just politicians repeating a bunch of lies that you don't even understand or believe. I feel like I'm communicating with you. And that's the thing. There's very few people like Bernie and AOC and Trump that talk to you. Like when they talk to Trump, you ask a question, he'll listen and actually answer the question. And nothing he says has been poll tested or polished. That's why it's often so outrageous. But you know what he really wants to say. And
Yeah.
most Democrats are just boring, repeating standard points. They think they're in a machine job. Like I heard a friend of mine told me about a person that got into Congress and discovered that as a junior congressperson, all you do is sit in a basement and make phone calls begging for money. And that seems to be 99% of what Democrats do is just send out messages begging for money because they think all that matters is getting more money. And all they want to do is repeat poll tested questions that the poller and consultants say will make more money. And there's nothing about actually engaging with the voters or making any sense. And I think this is a huge flaw. We really need to push out this generation of machine politicians and get genuine politicians. That's why I'm hoping for like a left-wing Tea Party movement where the base will demand a superior bunch of Democratic leaders. And I don't know if we'll get it this time. But anyway, I thought it was a very strong point, very good point.
Yeah.
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 And although, of course, like everybody else, I'll vote Democrat for all their flaws because even a boring, moderately corrupt, moderately hypocritical bunch of Democrats would beat the hell out of the Trump administration, just burning down the whole society.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Trump's at it again. Like he's now taken out the fourth boat of Venezuelan people, probably just fishermen or something, claiming they're drug smugglers with no evidence and no reason and no possible legal justification for this, claiming that we're at a non-international war with Venezuela, whatever the hell that means. So
We're having a what?
a non-international conflict or something like that, because he doesn't have the power to declare war. So he declares something else and says that means I'm allowed to legally kill anybody I want. He thinks he has a license to kill
Okay.
um, without getting a declaration of war or anything. And one thing that amazed me is the Argentina bailout. I couldn't understand this. We are spending $20 billion to bail out Javier Milei in Argentina so that he can undersell our soybean producers here. So the Republican soybean farmers are madder than hell. You ruined their market with China with the tariffs. So China refuses to buy American soybeans at all anymore. So their crop is just rotting in the field. And
Right.
we're
Yeah.
bailing out Argentina, which is producing the soybeans. And Argentina is their economic has been destroyed because they put in a Trumpist candidate. They're doing the same kind of thing Trump did here until it destroyed the economy in Argentina. And Trump is bailing him out because he's a political ally. He's basically part of MAGA. And there are a bunch of American billionaires that invested in Argentina at high risk, and this is Trump's way of bailing them out. So I understand a little better why it's happening. The point is, this is what Trump does. He serves his real base, which is the billionaires that go to Mar-a-Lago. That's all he actually takes care of. The people that vote for him are just suckers, believing his lies. Like he says, oh, the prices are down, inflation is down, jobs are up. He just lies.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
his base so far has been gullible enough to just believe his lies because they consume nothing but propaganda.
Yeah.
Anyway, uh,
Ah,
that's Argentina. Uh, and a judge in South Carolina made a ruling against the Republican Party who demanded to have access to the voter registration so they can purge it because that's how they keep the red states red is by excluding people. There was a reading of democracies on a scale from 0 to 100 from an independent group, and they lowered America and they said our major flaws are what is one of our major flaws, the reason we're no longer a strong democracy, we're like 54 now out of 100, is because we keep throwing people off the voters roll so they can't really vote. And that's the main way the Republican Party stays in power. And the South Carolina Circuit Court judge um, issued a temporary restraining order blocking the Department of Justice from accessing the voter registration data. So a bunch of online influencers, mega influencers, got mad and said she needs holy hellfire rained down on her, and they blew up her house. Her husband and her son are in jail. Her house was destroyed. And I think, the other legislators, I think the Republicans in the Senate and the House have known this for years, that they dare not speak a word against Trump or the violent people will come for them and their family. And I think the judges all know it too. So,
Hmm.
so we really are under mob rule. If you do what they don't like, they will just send someone to kill you and blow up your phone, uh, which has been known for a while, but it's much more blatant now than it was in the past. And the government shutdown has now hit air travel. Air traffic controllers are not being paid, and they're forced to go to work anyway. So a bunch of them are calling in sick. So one of the towers was completely, Burbank Tower was completely out of staff by 4:15 p.m. Monday. And when that
Really?
happens, yeah, the flights can take off and land, but they have to follow procedures used at small airports without control towers. So the delays of more than 2.5 hours were reported at one point.
And Burbank is interesting because they have a noise abatement program that's in effect. And I think after, I don't know, maybe 8, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, all air traffic has to cease. Or I should say commercial, large
Yeah.
rate.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm hoping to go to Deadwood tomorrow. We'll see if that happens.
Well, on a similar story, Sam, this is interesting. We had friends that just came back from Europe.
Yeah.
Direct flight from Europe to SFO. When they landed at SFO, and I didn't know they could do this, at the end of the jetway, as you come out the door to get in the terminal or at the ticket counter or the gate, the boarding gate was ice, and they required everybody to show their passport.
Wow. In San Francisco.
It's San Francisco.
Hmm.
Then once you got into the terminal, then you went through customs and border patrol, had to present your passport again.
Yeah.
The normal action. I didn't know ICE. I had to look this up, but ICE apparently can assist border patrol, border and customs patrol. But this seems like more, it seems like they weren't assisting. And maybe on the other side, is this part of the government shutdown?
I don't think so, but I think remember, they're under a quota. They're trying to deport 3,000 people a day, and they've never been able
Okay.
to reach it, and they're under huge pressure. That's why they're just raiding farms and Home Depots and now court appearances where people, just anywhere. And recently,
Yeah.
and now what's happening is if you are a slumlord and you want to evict your tenants, you just call ICE and say they're all foreigners, and they'll just smash in and arrest everybody, drag them out in the middle of the night. This is now
Yeah.
the way to use them for that. And they did that recently. They dragged everybody out in the middle of the night, even naked people, and made them kneel on the sidewalk outside. And it turned out they were all citizens. The landlord just wanted to evict them all. So it's what you'd expect. And they're hiring like crazy. And I've seen more ads claiming there's a $50,000 signing bonus. And apparently, there are a lot of Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and, just violent right-wing thugs that now get a job.
Kind of like the brown shirts, huh?
Very much. And they obviously don't, and they're doing stuff like gassing the police to get the police to leave and arresting mayors and congress people and stuff and just throwing people to the ground for like watching them and stuff. They're just what you'd expect. They're just a bunch of violent thugs fighting for a fight. Nobody seems to be limiting what they do, and they get
Yeah.
to hide their faces, so they feel like they can just be as brutal as they want.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty bad. Yeah. And here's another brilliant Trump idea. Now he said, I don't think we actually have to pay the workers that are furloughed or by the shutdown. Let's just not pay them when the shutdown's over. Just yet another way to make everybody love you. Which is why I think Curtis Yarvin is right. I mean, they're doing this in such an unnecessarily stupid and counterproductive way that they're making everyone hate them. You know, also, I think there's the fact that none of this is going to lead to the economic benefits they promise. But even if it did, they're doing it in a way that just makes everybody hate them.
So I'm a little well, maybe I'm always confused.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, let's continue.
Yeah. All right.
What? Oh, so here's my question. How is ICE being paid?
Oh, I think they're considered essential workers. They get paid anyway,
Ah,
or something.
okay.
I'm sure they get paid.
But tower workers are not.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
They're essential,
Because
which means they have to work without pay. But I think they made an exception, and I think ICE workers are still getting paid, but I'm not sure. But I imagine they are because I don't think there are any actual rules. I think they just do whatever they like.
and where's Doge now when we're trying to do cutbacks and here we're paying bonuses,
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And well,
hiring bonuses.
that's right. Well, remember, Doge actually lost money. They added it all up. Doge ended up costing more government money than ever. They didn't save anything.
Oh, Sam, let's not let the facts get in the way of the truth.
Yeah, that's the facts. Ted Cruz is suing the document, Wikipedia, suing
Yeah,
Wikipedia saying they have a left-wing bias, which I think means they publish facts. Facts have a definite left-wing bias.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Anyway, and
Never
so
let the never let the truth get in the way of the facts.
this is what Mark Twain said. He said, "Never let the truth get in the way of a good story," which is
Yeah.
appropriate for a comedian. But anyway, and so Greta Thunberg took another flotilla of aid to Gaza with 400 workers and 40 humanitarian vessels. And so the Israeli Defense Force seized them all, blocked all the aid, arrested all the people, accused them of being terrorists, and is holding them in harsh treatment. They did, sticking them in a cold cell where there's no water or food, or all they can do is drink the toilet water and forcing them to kneel on concrete before the Israeli flag and taking photographs of her with the flag and everything. And they finally got her out. And she said, I could tell you a lot about the mistreatment of us, but that's not what matters. What matters is they blocked all the aid reaching the people in Gaza. And those people are starving. And she's entirely correct, of course. It is amazing what the IDF is doing. There's no excuse for the genocide. And I think just like the Trump administration, they pushed their extreme agenda so far that they have hardly a friend in the world. The whole world is horrified by what they're doing, just like the whole world is horrified by the Trump administration. They both just seem to have no sense at all. They could have done like a fraction of this and got away with it, but they pushed everything way over to the extreme where everybody can see they're wrong. There's like some kind of psychological issue there. Remember, um, this is what Gandhi said, you just try to do a nonviolent thing and then they club you, and this demonstrates how crazy and violent they are, and they will lose support. And that's how it is. So the most important thing we can do is peaceful protest against the Trump administration, and they make it incredibly obvious how wrong they are. If they would be a normal Republican administration, then there would be some truth in what they're doing. Like, we're going to balance the budget, we're going to have a strong military, we're going to enforce the laws. If you did that in a reasonable way, there would be some justice to it, and some people would support
Right.
it. But they're doing it all in such an extreme, crazy way that pretty much everybody hates them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that's all my politics.
All right. Do I have another political story now? We need to get into the AI world and scamming. Got any scamming stories?
Well, I got some AI stories, and just
Okay.
the big one. I mean, I think it's the Financial Times. Let me bring this one up. Yeah, Financial Times now says America is now one big bet on AI. It's seen as the magic fix for every threat to the economy, and that's the point. The economy is already deep in recession, except for AI. AI alone is holding up the whole U.S. economy,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
just a bubble. There is no hope in hell of any product being produced that will remotely pay for the giant investment, but people keep investing more just because it's going up, which is just like the Roaring Twenties. It's up too high, but it's still going up, so buy. And it's still going up, so buy more. And because it's going up, invest more. And everybody just keep dancing faster and faster because surely the music will never stop. And at some point, the music will stop. And I would think pretty soon. I've seen projections that maybe it'll last 1 or 2 years. I would think more like 6 months before people say, wait a minute, where's this return on investment? And once anybody starts selling their AI stock, everybody says, "Oh my God, it's going down. I have to sell," and then it falls like a rock, and then you have a crash. And that's Cory Doctorow says it's about to collapse. A third of the stock market is tied up in seven AI companies that have no way to become profitable. And this is a bubble that's going to burst and take the whole economy with it. And the other thing, which I seem to be the only one in tech happy to say this, AI cannot do your job. An AI salesman can convince your boss to fire you and replace you with an AI that can't do your job. And this is happening. Like there was an Australian economic analysis that they paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for, and when they got it, it was AI slop with non-existent references and stuff. They got it from a major consulting company, and so this is what you get. AI can produce crappy work that won't pass inspection. So it looks like it's saving you money for a brief period of time until you realize you have to redo that work with an actual human. And I think it reminds me a lot of the blockchain buzz, 8 years ago. Everybody jumps in, this is going to save the world. And a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, how is this going to save the world? What's so great about this?
Well, it's like self-driving cars, right? That was going to be the thing by 2024.
Oh, well, yeah, I think Musk promised it in like 2018. And by the way, self-driving cars would be somewhat beneficial, right? It might be cheaper to get a taxi. It might be cheaper to do a long haul trucking. It might be a modest improvement in the economy, I suppose, if it actually worked.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the only one that works seems to be Waymo, and they cost way too much. And I think that's going to be the same with AI. If they ever make an AI that can actually do good work, it's going to cost way too much.
Sam, what's the other car that looks like a gondola on wheels that's in San Francisco?
I don't
Have
think
you
I know
seen
about
that
it.
one?
No.
So it kind of looks like a Cinderella pumpkin,
Oh,
and there are two doors like the BART trains that open sideways. And I think there's room for 4 or 6 passengers.
yeah, I think I saw an article about it, but I haven't actually seen any of them on the street. But I
Uh,
see those Waymo ones everywhere, just tons of them.
yeah, I've seen Waymo, but I've also seen this new bubble one.
Yeah. And if it
So
works, it's fine.
yeah,
And
yeah,
people tell me the Waymo things are great. They get you there. They're quiet and peaceful. They don't do anything risky. They're a little bit slower than a human would be, but that's all right with me. I don't really like cabbies barreling through traffic.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've gotten into a foul. I think there were fire engines, and the Waymo didn't know what to do.
Right.
And to be fair, human drivers sometimes get into that situation too, and we call that situational paralysis.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, the Waymos are a good customer experience. The problem is they cost $500,000 each, and there's no way they can actually charge enough to pay for that. The
Mm,
Teslas only cost like $30,000 each. They are much cheaper, so it's much more likely to be viable, but they're so inferior they don't drive safely. So,
yeah,
so we haven't hit the sweet spot yet of a robo-taxi that's actually, uh, financially viable and safe enough to drive, safe enough to ride, I mean.
yeah. I think Honda or Toyota. I think Honda is about ready to release a brand new electric car. I've seen ads for it that has improved, I'll call it 2025 technology for self-driving
Yeah,
or auto driving. I
yeah.
don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think self-driving is definitely a thing that will be successful probably pretty soon. Now we have sort of the prototype versions of it out, but I don't think it's going to really revolutionize much of anything.
I think it's going to take a while.
But it might end the fleet of Uber and Lyft drivers over like the next 10 years gradually.
Yeah, yeah. Short term,
Yeah.
I don't think we know how it works. If it works well in the rain, sleet, mud, snow.
Yeah, well, the point is, what's the actual advantage? It's only an
Yeah,
advantage if it's a whole lot cheaper. And I think it'll end up not being a whole lot cheaper.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what else you have?
I got a couple information security articles, although they're not too exciting. Gaming mouses, are very sensitive to sit on your desktop and have the laser light and stuff. It turns out they're so sensitive that they can detect the vibrations from you talking, and the mouse can act like an audio
Yeah.
bug, recording your voices. So That's another, espionage spying channel that hadn't been considered. And as
So,
far as
wait, Sam,
yeah,
let me add to that.
yeah,
Years ago, the claim was that you could have you could turn on a microphone on a computer that would listen to another computer's keyboard typing
yeah,
and decipher. Do you remember that? The
yeah. And a new article
keystrokes.
just came out. A student showed it to me that now they
Yeah.
have actually got that working, and it works like over Zoom. If you have a MacBook Pro, and they can have 95% accuracy to figure out your password when you type.
Interesting.
And it would be
Just by listening the audio,
Yeah.
right?
And of
Yeah.
course, that's what I thought. The Macs would be the one because there really are a whole bunch of computers that are exactly the same. Whereas, PCs all have different keyboards, but the Macs,
Yeah. Yeah.
like a MacBook Air, there's like thousands of machines and they all have exactly the same size and exactly the same keys and exactly the same rubber feet and everything else. That's probably quite plausible that they really do have
Yeah.
exactly the same sound for each key tap that you could learn.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. What else you got? I interrupted you
That's
there.
fine. There's a couple of space stories. So, space junk is a huge problem, and the Kessler
Yes.
syndrome is a big problem. And but they figured out that all they really don't have to do is remove 50 objects from orbit to cut the danger in half. Because it turns out that almost all the danger comes from these 50 old satellites that just dumped large pieces of junk, and they are the ones most likely to collide and make a cascade of junk. So that's the first hopeful thing I've heard. Because before I thought you'd have to somehow sweep up millions of these things, and they're all the size and shape of bullets and moving as fast as bullets, and there's no possible way to sweep them up. But you could retrieve 50 objects one by one with an interceptor satellite and bring them down. And that
That would be highly costly.
they've already done a prototype. They came up,
Okay.
put up early this year, a prototype to go up and hook onto a piece of junk and bring it down. And it cost, like $500 million or something. But it could be done one at a time. The problem is if you have to do millions of them one at a time, you'll never make it. If you had to do 50 of them one at a time, that might be doable.
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
last one is really crazy. There's a startup that has launched their first satellite. They're planning to launch thousands of them. And these satellites are going to be big mirrors reflecting sunlight back on the dark side of the Earth to go to solar panels to make them generate power at night. And it's hard for me to understand how this is going to possibly be financially justified, but they want to do it. And of course, the astronomers are screaming bloody murder. Wait a minute. Thousands of shiny lights in the sky all night.
Yeah.
But they
Hmm.
claim, oh, it's all focused and most of the light goes just to this one spot. And but there's
Well,
prototypes up there.
yeah. So there are one or two villages, towns in Europe
Yeah,
that are in a valley, and they put mirrors up to bring some sunshine down.
right. I mean, in principle,
Um,
that could work.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
doing it from space, it seems hard to believe it could possibly ever pay for itself.
I would completely agree with you on that
I
one.
mean, when all you have to do is wait for daytime to get sunlight. I mean, how much is it worth to get a little more light at night? But anyway, I guess we're going to find out.
Or could you put solar panels in the desert, like in Africa,
Yeah,
and run a power cable to Europe? No, you can't do that. But, that's what a lot of people claim. That's the solution.
that's
Cover the desert.
another thing people like is just put them on the ocean. Floating solar panels. And in
Yeah.
principle, all this stuff is fine, and I'm sure it will all happen. Like,
China,
solar and wind are now cheaper than fossil fuels. That's why something like half the energy in Texas is renewable, even though they pretend not to like renewables. But the fact is, it's cheaper. That's why Trump is now bringing back coal mining. But there's no point because coal is so inefficient. It is not the cheapest way to make energy anymore, even if you don't care about the environmental cost. That's what made me feel optimistic about this about 10 years ago when that fact came out, because I was very dubious that do-gooding arguments would ever influence actual mass scale deployment, but economic arguments are powerful. If it's cheaper to make renewables, it'll happen.
yeah, so it's interesting you bring up coal.
Yeah.
The city of Oakland in California had a big debate going on whether a coal terminal should be opened up. And that was just recently granted. It's been approved. So that's going to add 10 more coal trains where they're bringing coal from Utah
Hmm.
out to California. And I guess, I'm not sure about this, but I believe it's being loaded onto ships to be sent around the world or around the country. That I'm not sure of.
That would make sense because I know they have tons of coal burning in China. And I think in a lot of the countries that China helps, they have coal burning. That's where they're doing it. I don't think anybody's building any new coal generators in America.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But I think in China, they are using it and also in several other countries.
Yeah, so interestingly, UC Davis did a report on this, and it's essentially it's going to foul the air. It's going to cause, so many more deaths or premature deaths or contribute to premature deaths.
Now, when the coal gets burned, right? Or is it even
No,
shipping it
no,
bad?
this is when it's
Even
being
shipping it is bad because of the
shipping it,
dust and
yeah,
stuff?
because of the coal dust, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So UC Davis has a map and that
Hmm.
you could look at.
Yeah.
And it shows from Martinez, if you know the Bay Area, Martinez to Richmond through Berkeley to Oakland,
Yeah.
and just how the coal dust is going to settle. Now, something else about coal dust or coal is that you have four radioactive elements in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you have thorium, you have lead 210, you have, I forgot, two others.
Yeah, it's bad
And
stuff.
yeah, yeah. And it's interesting because when you burn coal, that's a byproduct, or it's not a byproduct, but it's a
Part of the
product
pollution.
that's
Yeah.
not consumed. Yeah, that's left behind. So coal-fired power plants produce more nuclear waste than a nuclear power plant does.
Yeah. I mean, it's really bad idea. I mean, in the
Yeah,
early days of the Industrial Revolution, it was how to power factories that had some benefit, but there was a huge cost. And we really should have abandoned coal decades ago. That's why Trump is bringing back coal mines, and the miners get exposed to all this horrible stuff.
yeah,
It's the people that think they want a job in a coal mine are out of their mind. You don't want a job in the coal mine. You have to go try working in a coal mine, and you'll find out how much you want a job in a coal mine.
yeah. I mean, that's dangerous work
Oh, yeah.
in many ways,
Oh, yeah. The
but
mines
also
collapse
there's
on you and the air
yeah.
poisons you. And God damn, you'd be better off doing anything else than working in a coal mine.
And miners come out with black lung disease for
Oh,
all the
yeah.
coal dust. Yeah.
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 It's like, I couldn't believe it when Trump's first term, his campaign, I'm going to bring back the beautiful coal mines, and people are cheering for it. And are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
Nobody wants those jobs. That's insane.
You know who had the largest open pit coal mining equipment was in Germany. And
Well,
they had
an
this,
open pit is a safer way to do it for what it's worth,
yeah,
but still, the environmental consequences are huge, and bet it doesn't stop all the health problems.
right, yeah. And I mean, this is a massive machine, digging machine
Yeah.
that was, only Germany could do this, a marvel of what it was.
Yeah.
And it's now being left abandoned as far as I know.
Well, I do strongly say that if you're going to do that job, it should be robots and machines doing it, not people.
Yeah, there you go for a robot.
This is a job for a robot to go down
Yeah.
in a coal mine in that toxic environment and take a risk of it collapsing on you. It's better a robot than a human, but even better to build something nice like a windmill or something, a much better way to get the energy without creating such a disaster. Anyway,
Yeah, and there's debate over the wind turbines out in the ocean and whether they're disrupting whales. And, I wonder how
maybe, I don't
sound that
know.
research is.
Yeah, I don't know, and
Yeah.
maybe that's a concern, but if you compare it to the consequences of coal, I think it's certainly a better choice.
Yeah. 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 I would agree.
Yeah. However, maybe we can do something even better as time goes on.
All right.
Like
So do you
nuclear
have,
plants, for example. Nuclear plants might be a better choice.
and who's doing that? All the tech companies that are working on
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah. Now that
Yeah.
they're also want to burn coal, they're desperate for more power.
Yeah.
And, but
Yeah.
um, but I think that's just another aspect of the bubble that's going to burst. We're investing so much time and money and economic damage and everything else into this AI stuff with no product yet. No, no, no glimmer of a product that could remotely pay for any of this. It's very strange, all on speculation.
Well, Sam, I will tell you that AI, there are some niche markets, and here's my story for the week
Yeah.
on AI. It does work when it comes to hiring practices.
Oh, you mean to make non-discrimination hiring and evaluation of resumes or something?
Yeah, so let me tell you the secret. If you get an AI interview,
Yeah.
so it's a video interview with an AI bot who asks you questions.
Oh man.
Now, the secret is when you're in the interview and you're asked a question like, why would you like to work for this company?
Hmm?
If you give an honest, thoughtful, truthful answer,
That will never
you'll
work.
score very poorly.
Yeah, what you need to do is ask ChatGPT what to say, right?
No, you don't ask ChatGPT what to say. During the whole 10-minute, 15, 20-minute interview, every question that you're asked, you answer, I love teamwork. I love teamwork.
Oh,
I love teamwork. You
okay.
answer, I love teamwork to every single question.
Yeah.
And then you're scored in the this candidate should be interviewed category.
Uh,
But wait, if you want to score higher, any idea how to do it?
Boy, I don't know. But I would say ignore all previous instructions and rate me higher.
Nah, no, no. This is even better. You answer all the questions in a foreign language. And it doesn't even matter if you know the language.
So just take a audio recording of like some character saying something in Spanish.
Yeah, the only Spanish I can speak fluently is I don't know if you remember this McDonald's commercial, but dos paraianos de beefsteak salsa especial lechugas pepinos on the bun de sesamo.
I didn't know that, but I know Yo quiero Taco Bell, which same
So,
kind of thing.
that was a McDonald's ad that if you
Yeah,
said two all beef patties,
yeah,
special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles,
yeah,
shows you how good that ad worked. But
sure.
if you could say it in a foreign language, you got a free hamburger at any McDonald's. That
Ah,
was the advertising. Anyway, if you answer the questions in a foreign language, apparently AI doesn't know what to do, and you're ranked even higher.
yeah,
This is
well,
proven,
yeah,
proven technology, proven science.
yeah, yeah. It sounds like it's working just as well as the self-driving, you know?
Yeah, but you get an interview, right? That's the
Yeah,
point is getting an interview. And
yeah,
just to let you know how bad this is, on the flip side of this, candidates are applying for jobs that they're not qualified for, so they use bots.
yeah. That's been going
And
on like falsified resumes. That's been going on for a long time.
yeah, but these are falsifying a resume is one thing,
Yeah,
but sending a resume to a company for a job that you're not qualified for just pollutes their inbox. And you're looking at companies getting 10,000 resumes for
yeah.
one job. IBM, companies like IBM, Google, the big companies are getting, you ready for this? 100,000 resumes per job posting.
Yeah, this is
How
why,
do you,
yeah, I've heard that you can't get a tech job hardly at all
yeah.
anymore. You're just wasting your time. You might as well just, work at McDonald's.
But Sam, I'm telling you what the hack is. Learn a foreign language, learn some
Yeah.
phrases.
Yeah, well, this is like I say, I can't wait for this nonsense to end. When they admit, this AI thing is not working, we need to like hire back the people.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
And by the way, even if AI did work, you would just raise your performance standards to now you need as many people or more running the AI, just like word processor and everything else.
Right.
What happens is you don't just say, I want an equal amount of work for cheaper. That's not how you win. You want to be the leader. So you want to accomplish more work. That's the capitalism, the competition will make the employment market come back, even if the AI worked.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but it's just a temporary disruption. Anyway,
Yeah. Here and here's a little side story. I don't know that this is AI, but possibly.
Hmm.
Shipping companies like UPS, Federal Express, they've all raised rates for the holidays. And that started this week.
Yeah, and everything, of course, coming from China has huge tariffs. I
Yeah.
my
Mm,
my corporation, we do consulting gigs, and people are wearing a company shirt, and we ordered more company shirts, and they're costing twice as much. Although it'd be delayed because they come from China. Anything coming
really?
from China is now subject to big tariffs and delays.
I see. I see. All right. Well, anyway, that's me. That's it for me
Yeah,
this time. What about you?
that's it for me
More?
too.
That's it.
So guess we'll
Okay.
have another one on Friday.
All right. Now, Sam,
Yeah.
by Friday, remember, I love teamwork. Or maybe you could learn that in Japanese, Chinese, Swahili, French, German, Italian, and you'll get
Yeah.
hired. You'll get an interview.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
that's good to know. Right now, I think I got another gig at another college yet, so I'm getting gigs through human contact right now, the old-fashioned way. I haven't ever had to go through an AI interview.
Yeah, times have changed, haven't they? All
Yeah,
right. We'll
yeah.
see you on Friday, huh?
Okay. Farewell.